So there's a lot of cities out there in the world that has influence in the fashion industry. And here's some to name a few. New York, LA, Paris, Milan, Tokyo. These are places and these are cities that most people would argue have a lot of influence. But nobody really talks about the great north in Canada. This is where I dwell, this is where I'm from. And over the years, we have been overlooked, except for Montreal, been credited a few times. But if you look at us as a whole, like Toronto and Montreal, people don't really care about our fashion sense like that and don't even think that we have one. Over the last 10 to 15 years, we've definitely moved the bar forward and we can be put in these conversations because there's a lot more tastemakers than ever before coming out of Toronto, coming out of Montreal. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Canadian fashion, specifically Toronto fashion, and how it's changed and why I think that in the next 10 years that we'll be able to be cemented in the fashion industry. Now, when it comes to Toronto, it's one of the most multicultural cities in the world, especially in Canada. Now, from food to music to media, we are all influenced by these different cultures. This can be translated through fashion if you look into the major fashion cities in North America. They're very heterogeneous. There's a lot of differences in it. If you look at New York, each borough dresses differently and they're influenced by whatever countries that they came to before coming to America. No Eddie Murphy though. Now we must adjust this out first. The reason why it's not distinct is because Canada doesn't really have its own culture as a whole. We do have stereotypes where we're nice, we're polite, we eat maple syrup and poutine or whatever these guys say, like yeah, and whatever. Like all that stuff, put it to the wayside. But we don't have like a culture like how America has a culture. But we're influenced by the States. As you can see in Toronto, a lot of our influences do come from America, and I have to be completely transparent about it. A lot of people that you see, especially nowadays too, you will see them dressed like a LA guy or a LA girl, or you could see them dressing like a New York girl or a New York guy. And because a lot of us are first generation or second generation kids, a lot of us get inspiration from our countries of origin. So a lot of people will borrow from Caribbean styles, or a lot of people will borrow from like Indian styles or like color palettes, or if you're Filipino, there's certain things that you wear that's specifically from your culture. But I will say, just like every city has one, we do have a stereotypical fit. So in our city, it would be the Toronto guy or the Toronto girl, or we would say Toronto man and the Toronto gal, or the Toronto shorty fit. And this is basically what it looks like. And I know everybody that's from Toronto or from the GTA has known somebody who dressed like that and probably talks like this. Yo, fam, what's good, dog? Da 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 da. Yo, you know what I'm saying, fam? Listen, first of all, most people don't really talk like that. It's just exaggeration. And I really do believe Baltimore has the worst accent. It's not Toronto. This aside, I really do think when it comes to this conversation, like, for the last 25 years, we didn't really have that much influence when it came to style as a whole. We did have artists that been moving culture. I think Toronto is one of the best cities when it comes to music and changing it. So you did have guys like Tory Lanez, you had Drake, PND, you had The Weeknd. They were the leaders in music for a while and arguably still are. But unfortunately, they were not leaders in pushing Toronto fashion or cultivating a look and pushing it to the masses where people would dress like them. That was people like Pharrell from Virginia, or you have guys like Kanye from Chicago, Travis from Houston, A$AP Rocky from Harlem. So these are the people who had a change in music and changed sounds in music, but also were able to push fashion forward and cultivate a movement in fashion, because nobody says I'm trying to dress like Drake on average. Nobody says I'm trying to dress like The Weeknd on average. Nobody wants to say that they dress like Tory Lanez. I mean, you'd just be wearing a jumpsuit right now, a prison jumpsuit, but that's my point. Most of us look towards America for our fashion taste and our fashion inspiration. And I know some of you are going to say, yo, Drake has OVO, but I'm going to explain that just now. So when it comes to Drake, he's been in the game for a little bit, but when it comes to October Very Own, with the exception of the collaborations with like the universities that he did, and like he did something with NBA and NFL at one point, and he did something with Roots. Most of it is just mediocrity and foolishness. I don't want to wear that. It doesn't move me. It doesn't inspire me to cop his clothes. And that was the main problem because people never really wanted to dress like Drake. Yes, they wanted to sound like him musically, which is a good feat by itself. But when it comes to him as a fashion staple or his brand as a fashion staple, it was never a case. Now, mind you, his fans wear his stuff. Mind you, when it comes to like people in the GTA, they would wear his stuff out of support because he's Canadian, or I feel like the UK men's wear OVO too. But as a whole, nobody was rocking it with OVO like that. It wasn't really a thing until he dropped Nodka. And this is his best work. This is not even a discussion. You can debate with me in the comments if you want, but Nodka has been his best work with Nike of all time. It does not matter. That's his best work, and it's one of his best attempts to get into the fashion industry and people actually following a wave with the tracksuits, with the jackets, with the shoes. It's arguably his best work because one thing that Kanye always had over him was the fact that Kanye was able to create clothes that people actually wanted to wear, whether you were a fan of him or his music or not. Even though I'm rocking a Yeezy sweater right now, his stuff was just more fashionable than Drake's. Now, when it comes to Naka, this is gonna be the brand that pushes Toronto forward into the fashion industry, and then everybody that's behind him will surpass him later on. But he's gonna bring Toronto fashion to the forefront because of the fact that it's something that everybody actually likes and thinks is proper. Now there's a lot of brands that are coming out of the city, which is amazing. And I love to see it because at the end of the day, we need more creators and tastemakers. Toronto has a lot of talent for a city that doesn't have a lot of people. And when it comes to artistry, as far as music goes, we're killing it. When it comes to artistry, as far as like painting and architectural design, we're killing it. Like OCAD is one of the best schools for creative design. That's what I'm saying. We have a lot to offer. It's such a small market right now because Canada doesn't really push that stuff forward. They don't really want to encourage young people to be tastemakers as much as they should. So now that I'm seeing it, there's a lot of brands that are coming out of the city that people are messing with in the States and abroad. So the Get Fresh company is one. Cotton is another one, which if you just want like minimal fashion, but like a high-end quality. Then you have Permanent Vacation. Raised by Wolves, another one that's good. Spencer Badu, if you're more into like experimental fashion, and it's crazy. And then For Y'all Entertainment, which was it's just a YouTube channel, but they have tapped into the fashion industry and they've done an amazing job of creating reworked pieces as well as original pieces. Amazing. They're doing their thing, and I've been seeing people in the States rock their hoodies, and I think it's a cool hoodie. Yo, fellas, if you're trying to couple your girl something for a B-Day, Christmas, or whatever occasion, that's a good sweater, and it's not expensive. It's like $150. Amazing. And I also have a lot of different friends. I'll post their accounts up here that are starting their own brands, and they're good pieces. They're good work. They're putting in the work, and it's not just you're slapping on a logo on a t-shirt, but they're just actually looking at design, looking at different graphics, and taking the time and putting in that work to create something that's bigger than themselves. And then when it comes to content creation, so I've always been into the content creation scene when it comes to fashion, probably I want to say since I was in high school. But most of those guys that were into it, like the sneaker YouTubers and the fashion YouTubers, they were from the UK or from the US. Now with TikTok, I find that there's a lot more Toronto people coming up and showing us that, yo, they can dress, showing us that they have that stuff on. They could put it on at any time. And now that I think it's in May now, because I also have friends who are designers as well. Fashion Week in Toronto's coming up. Growing up, I never heard of Fashion Week in Toronto. It's always been Paris Fashion Week, London, Tokyo, the major cities. Even though Toronto is one, it just gets overlooked sometimes because we don't put ourselves out there as much as we should. But like I'm saying to you guys today, I'm saying to you guys right here and now, that, yo, we are the future tastemakers when it comes to content, when it comes to music, when it comes to fashion. And we can actually push the needle forward. Even when it comes to food too, because I do food reviews as well. Check out my page. But yo, when it comes to Toronto fashion, you're going to see, mark my words, as I speak this month, right now, today, okay, that Toronto's going to be one of the best cities for fashion. And you're going to see it as I live and breathe. So, yo, thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree with me, if you disagree. Let's discuss in the comment section and see what you guys are saying. And with that said, yo, it's been your boy, Darius D. Signing off once again. Y'all be easy. See ya next time. You feel me?